What if a simple program that's in your dorm room computer could one day run on over 90% of the world's PCs? Most people believe that only big companies with huge teams can change the world. But in 1975, an 18-year-old college student proved them wrong. Imagine a quiet autumn night at Harvard. William Gates III, known to friends as Bill, slips into the lab after his roommates fall asleep. He sits alone at a bulky computer terminal, its green letters glowing in the dark. He types line after line of code for a language called Basic. He and his friend Paul Allen want their program to work on a new machine called the Altair. It is just two young men, a borrowed punch card reader, and a dream too big for that tiny room. By sunrise, they have a working interpreter. A few weeks later, they form a company they call Microsoft. 90 days after that, they sign a deal with a giant called IBM. In just a few months, their software will bring personal computing to millions. Today, Windows runs on over 1 billion devices, and Bill's foundation has given away more than $50 billion to help the world's poorest people. That contrast humble dorm room to global impact captures the real magic of Bill Gates' story. He went from testing code at midnight to reshaping technology and saving lives through vaccines and education. How did a shy college student become one of history's most powerful innovators and humanitarians? In the next part, we will explore Bill's childhood passion for computers, the risks he took at Harvard, and the early days of Microsoft that launched a revolution. When Bill was just 13, his parents surprised him with a new terminal at the Lakeside School in Seattle. He had never seen a machine like it. No flashing lights, just rows of green letters on a black screen. Overnight, Bill was hooked. He spent every free minute typing commands, learning how the computer thought. He wrote his first program, a simple tic-tac-toe game, and watched it play perfectly against him. It was magic, lines of code becoming actions on the screen. In high school, Bill and two friends formed a small club. They convinced the school to let them work on the time-sharing computer each night, long after classes ended. While other students watched movies or played games, Bill studied programming manuals by the dim glow of the terminal. He learned to solve impossible problems, how to store data, how to run multiple programs at once, how to make the machine understand human language. His teachers saw his passion and knew he was special. When he arrived at Harvard in 1973, Bill felt both excited and uneasy. His dorm room was cramped, with textbooks piled on the desk and a shared telephone that rang constantly. Instead of socializing, he slipped into the lab at odd hours. There he met Paul Allen, a bright young programmer who shared his dream of making computers easier for everyone. They worked together late into the night, typing basic code and testing it on a borrowed machine. When the program finally ran without errors, they jumped up and down, celebrating like children who had discovered fire. Bill and Paul saw an even bigger opportunity when news of the Altair computer reached them. They believed their version of BASIC could run on this new machine. With trembling hands, Bill sent a letter to the Altair's creators, offering to send the software as they would pay after seeing it work. To their astonishment, the company agreed. Bill and Paul hurried to assemble code on paper tape, then flew to Albuquerque to demonstrate their interpreter. When the machine executed their program flawlessly, the founders of Altair placed an order on the spot. In that moment, Microsoft was born. Back in Seattle, they set up a small office above a garage. There was no fancy furniture, just desks, a telephone, and piles of early microcomputers. Bill called potential customers one by one, pitching their software to anyone who would listen. He faced rejection after rejection. Many thought personal computers were a passing fad, but Bill refused to quit. He believed that in every home and every office, a computer could change how people lived and worked. Then came the life-changing deal with IBM. In 1980, Big Blue needed an operating system for its new personal computer. Bill had no operating system of his own, but he moved quickly to buy one from another company, adapted it overnight, and licensed it to IBM under the name MS-DOS. When the IBM PC became a bestseller, MS-DOS sold with it and Microsoft's future was sealed. Bill watched as his small startup exploded into a global leader. By the time Windows arrived in 1985, millions of people learned to click, drag, and type, all thanks to the doors Bill had opened in that tiny dorm room so many years before. By the early 1990s, Microsoft had grown from a tiny startup into a technology powerhouse, and Bill Gates stood at the center of a revolution. In 1990, after years of hard work refining PC-DOS and Windows, Microsoft released Windows 3.0, the first version that truly captured the public's imagination. Overnight, color graphics and a mouse-driven interface made computers accessible to millions of people who had never dreamed they could point and click their way through documents, spreadsheets, or simple games. Companies rushed to install Windows in their offices. Schools began teaching students with Microsoft software, and the world began to change around Gates's vision of a computer on every desk and in every home. Sales soared, and Microsoft's revenues leapt from hundreds of millions to billions of dollars within just a couple of years. Bill found himself traveling across the globe, meeting presidents and prime ministers, negotiating with hardware manufacturers, and guiding the company through an era of dizzying growth. Yet as Windows became dominant, whispers of concern began to turn into headlines. Were consumers really free to choose their software, or had Microsoft become too powerful? In 1998, the U.S. Department of Justice filed an antitrust lawsuit against Microsoft, accusing the company of using its operating system monopoly to crush competition, bundling Internet Explorer with Windows, pressuring PC makers, and unfairly blocking rival software. For the first time, Bill Gates was not celebrated as a genius innovator, but criticized as a corporate titan. Courtroom drama unfolded on national television as Microsoft executives, lawyers, and government lawyers argued over the future of the digital age. Gates himself took the stand, defending the company's actions and insisting that competition would thrive, even under Microsoft's leadership. The legal battle dragged on 4 years, placing immense pressure on the company and its founder. In 2001, a federal judge ruled that Microsoft must be split into an outcome that sent shockwaves through Silicon Valley. Eventually, on appeal, the breakup order was overturned, but Microsoft was still required to share key programming information with competitors. The settlement forced the company to change how it did business, and it marked a turning point in Gates's career. No longer content to focus solely on building the software empire, Bill saw an opportunity to redefine his legacy. In early 2000, he announced he would step down as CEO and hand the reins to Steve Ballmer. Gates remained as chairman and chief software architect, but he began to shift his attention toward broader challenges. He had already donated millions of dollars to education and public health through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, founded with his then wife in 2000. Now, freed from the daily demands of running Microsoft, Gates launched the foundation's ambitious initiatives, funding vaccine research, supporting literacy programs, and fighting diseases like malaria and polio in the world's poorest countries. This period represented the climax of Gates's professional life. He had built the world's most valuable company, faced down governments in court, and then chosen to use his wealth and influence to save lives. The same careful planning and analytical mind that once optimized code were now applied to eradicating childhood diseases and improving global education. Critics who once feared his power now watched in awe as Gates invested billions in philanthropic ventures, bringing clean water, vaccines, and schooling to millions. In these years, Bill's story transformed from a tale of technological conquest into a narrative of global compassion. He proved that true leadership is not just about building empires, but about knowing when to step aside so you can build something even greater: hope, health, and opportunity for all. Bill Gates's journey teaches us that true impact combines innovation with compassion. He began as a shy teenager, typing basic code in a dimly lit computer lab, driven by curiosity and a belief that machines could empower people. His early experiments at Lakeside School and late-night sessions in a cramped Harvard dorm sowed the seeds for Microsoft, which he built into a global technology leader. Yet Gates understood that great power brings great responsibility. When Windows 3.0 turned personal computing into a household staple, he didn't rest on those laurels. Facing intense legal scrutiny and the landmark antitrust battle, he navigated Microsoft through one of its toughest eras, demonstrating resilience and strategic insight. Then, in a bold turn, he shifted from CEO of the world's most valuable software company to full-time philanthropist, applying the same analytical mind to the world's hardest problems. Through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, he has poured billions into vaccine development, educational reform, and poverty reduction, directly changing the lives of millions. His foundation's work on eradicating polio, for example, has reduced cases by over 99.9% worldwide. School districts in the US have improved reading and math scores thanks to grants tailored to underperforming schools. And in communities without clean water, innovative purification systems funded by his grants have delivered safe drinking water to neighborhoods long forgotten. Gates's transformation from coding quiz to corporate titan to global humanitarian reminds us that success is not measured solely by profits or fame, but by the lives we uplift. His story encourages us to leverage our own skills and resources for the greater good. Whether you're a student with a passion for science, an entrepreneur with an emerging idea, or simply someone who cares about your community, you can follow his example, identify a problem, research solutions, and take concrete action. Every one of us has the potential to spark change, just as Gates did with a few lines of code. Your journey may begin quietly behind a screen, in a classroom, or at a kitchen table, but with vision, perseverance, and a commitment to helping others, you can write your own chapter in the story of progress. I have 3 special questions for you. 1. Which part of Bill Gates's journey from Harvard dorm coder to global philanthropist inspires you the most? 2. Do you think solving big problems requires more vision, more resources, or more persistence? Why? 3. If you could start a project like Gates's foundation, what global issue would you choose to tackle first, and how would you begin?
If you enjoyed this story, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me make more stories for you.